what I feel, my story is that I want to talk more about that reality and how to achieve it.
Well, from my point of view, one of the, or maybe the source, I'm not sure, of the natural calm and happiness that seem to emanate from this place that I call the unconditioned mind, or reality, is that I don't find anything to understand, because there's no conceptual context. It just is. So all I'm suggesting is differentiating, distinguishing as clearly as possible between reality, what's happening on the one hand, and the stories on the other, just that we don't confuse them, so that we don't get upset by things that happen in the stories. What might happen, what should have happened, is this right, is it wrong? That ceases to upset me. So I'm only left with what's really happening. Now the stories are there, but my feeling is I'm aware of this huge thought process going on, which is creating the stories. Right now, I can feel it. But I'm speaking only metaphorically, this isn't real. There's a kind of feeling, a sensation, I'm speaking from experience of this moment, of an immense space, an immense open space, in which, I can see this little mind, this little Jonathan mind, creating its own movies and stories, and sometimes painful, sometimes happy, but but it's happening as a sort of tiny activity within the immense space of nothing. Nothing, not meaning that nothing's happening, everything's happening, but it doesn't have a particular defined framework or word that I can attach to it. It's too fluid, it's moving, it doesn't have any form, I can't find any precedent for exactly this. This moment, for example, this moment of intimacy between us now, it's possible in the whole history of the universe, according to physicists, I think 13.4 or 13.5 billion years. Probably physicists will be jumping on me because I may not have got it, but it's approximately, it's something like that. And maybe this moment never occurred previously. There's too much to get right, see, which is an amazing thought. This is the first time this happened. Even if it happened before, then this is the second time it's influenced by the first time. So there's actually no precedent for this. So I have no words to describe it, because words always come from a precedent, because we both understand the meaning of words. So that's knowledge, that's the past. But right now, this is here. And in reality, I don't have anything really maybe beyond that. So that's very easy. So this whole effort of understanding isn't there. I'm suggesting that in reality, there is nothing to understand, because there's no conceptual framework. There's just what is. So understanding seems to be not an appropriate tool to access reality. The moment I'm understanding is a creative process. We talk about understanding as if it was, I understand something, as if it was objective, I'm doing some object of understanding on something that exists. But actually it seems to me that understanding is a more creative process. Understanding means a creation, thoughts creating a model. With some words, with some ideas, with some structure. But that's a second best, that's a second cousin to the reality. This is this, whether I understand it or not. I think in Zen they have this saying, if you understand, things are as they are. If you don't understand, things are still as they are. So understanding then becomes an unnecessary and possibly not very helpful tool in accessing reality. But the feeling that you need to turn it into something which is definable and understandable, that is one of the things that prevents us accessing reality.
Right. I think I understand some of it. It's pretty complicated.
Well, I apologize then. It's actually, the feeling is very simple. That maybe I'm getting over-wordy and trying to
No,
access it for
you're
you.
not. I don't think so. I still feel I'm the student and you're the teacher.
That's itself a conceptual framework, isn't it?
Right. How do I get away from that conceptual framework?
You don't have to. It doesn't exist. It's an idea.
You're telling me it doesn't exist.
or it does exist. How do we find out if it really exists or not? You see, I said it doesn't exist, which you're quite right. You got me. That's very good. You got me, because I was expressing an opinion without realizing. I thought I was stating a fact, but I wasn't. I was expressing an opinion. That's the point. So how do we decide at a factual level, at a real level, if it is or it isn't? Is there any way of establishing that, or does it just stay as opinions?
It stays as opinions.
So what happens if we just leave the opinions and they float by, expressions of thoughts, and we just watch them happen? This, what you call mindfulness, is not ultimately different from that.
Right.
So this is what's happening now. I don't need to understand it. I mean, this is this. Now it's gone already, so it went before I could even begin to think about understanding it, creating an image of it in my mind.
Right. My difficulty is, in my mind, it's still there. I haven't put it aside. You're suggesting that would be the unconditional mind, so to speak. What I'm saying is, I'm sitting here, I'm still feeling I'm the student, you're the teacher.
Sure.
That's right now my reality. And in my mind, when there's a student and a teacher, the teacher is revealing the knowledge that they've gained.
Yeah, absolutely.
Years.
Except that's a conceptual framework, isn't it?
Very
What
much
happens if
so.
you don't need to put it aside because there's nothing to put aside? You see, if you want to put your watch aside, you can take it off and put it to the side. It's possible. I can put my watch to the side.
Right.
I can't put a conceptual framework to the side because I can't get hold of it. There's nothing there. It's sort of smoke and mirrors, isn't it? So you don't need to put it to the side. All I'm inviting you to do is to access reality, which means the awareness that it is a conceptual framework. And then you watch the thoughts that create these ideas, these constructs. So the constructs appear, it's a bit like a sort of holographic image. They appear there, but when you try and access them, there's nothing there. But the watch, I can take my watch off, you see, I can do this, and I can put it here. I can't do that with a conceptual framework because it isn't there. Not in reality. As thoughts it is. So is it possible to see the difference so that you stop being troubled by things that are not happening? See, that's actually more pleasant, putting my watch here, because my wrist is a little bit cooler, so that's a pleasant feeling. So I've gained on that slightly. But I can't do that with a conceptual framework because there's nothing there.